Are you talking shift? We are. It's time for the We're Talking Shift podcast. Now. Here to talk shift, Loree Bischoff. We're Talking Shift.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 63 of We're Talking Shift, the podcast where I talk a lot of shift because I believe that when we feel stuck or when it's time to level up, rise to a challenge, or make any kind of shift, the process must begin with a shift in our thinking. That is the antidote to feeling stuck. Today, I am super excited to be talking with a very lovely and extraordinary woman, Catherine Harrison. Catherine caught my eye on Instagram because she is not only beautiful, but she is in absolutely amazing shape. I mean, she appears vibrantly healthy, and she looks like an athlete, like a professional athlete. She's amazing. Now, social media is, of course, it's overflowing with beautiful women in peak condition. But what impressed me about Catherine is that she's, well, one of the things, and actually this is not my place to share a lady's age, so I'm just going to say that she's kind of close to mine, and I can kind of share mine, and I'll just say I'm into my 5th decade on the planet, so let's just leave it at that. I think she'll be okay with that. But I love seeing women who are in this phase of life, who are just rocking vibrant health, and they're really just crushing it. And more of us are demonstrating that this does not have to be the phase that transitions you into like old age and irrelevancy. No. Now we are like dynamic tribal elders who have much wisdom to share due to our decades of life experiences. But when it comes to Catherine, that's just the beginning, you guys. Here's the next thing that makes Catherine so extraordinary and why I wanted to have her on the show. You see, upon further investigation, I discover that Catherine is a professional commercial print model and a fitness model, which isn't really surprising given her beauty and stature. But get this, Catherine is nearly blind. Now, in spite of that, or perhaps more accurately because of that, Catherine's been a national public speaker and article writer for several magazines where she has shared her story of learning to walk with strength and faith behind a white cane. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing from Baylor University and had a career as an operating room nurse. Catherine is a former ballerina and studied dance at Juilliard's School of American Ballet in New York. She serves on several nonprofit boards and regularly volunteers in her local community. I mean, she is one busy lady. So we're going to chat with Catherine for a bit and find out how she is managing to fearlessly move full steam ahead and live an amazing life with such beauty and poise, all with a condition that would have many people doing just the exact opposite. So without further ado, I would love to introduce my special guest and model citizen, yes, pun intended, Catherine Harrison. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Loree. I'm excited to be here.
Catherine and I connected on Instagram. And, you know, if you just look at the photos of you, Catherine, one assumes that you're a model and you look like a fitness competitor. But then, you know, I was reading some of your posts and then I also read an article that you wrote. And I just I don't know. I was like, I have to talk to her because you're really you're my hero. I don't know what I would have done had I been given the news that you got. I'm just going to pull this from your blog post. You wrote that you said, or you heard, take a good look at the faces of your 3 sons because you will not be able to see them as grown men. This was the cruelest way I can think of to tell someone that they are going blind, yet that is exactly what happened to me. Wow. So this was in 1995, correct?
Yes. That was a tough day. We had actually just moved back to America. We had been living overseas for multiple years as missionaries on the mission field, working at a hospital, my husband and I, and 2 kids at the time. And I was holding my newborn in my lap. I came home to have him. And that's when the doctor gave me that news. And and we were not allowed to return to the mission field. Actually, it was a paradigm shift for our life at that point. To have to move back to America and reestablish ourselves here. So
right. Oh my gosh,
it was a tough day.
Yeah, I mean, to put it mildly, right? So, so what was going on with I'm assuming there was something that was going on with your vision, with your sight, that prompted you to have to go to the doctor, right, in order to receive this diagnosis.
Yeah.
How did you know?
There were things that were happening. I was running into things. I had fallen down an entire flight of stairs, all kinds of little things. And my husband, who's a surgeon, he thought perhaps I had MS or something was wrong. And I said, no, I think maybe I just need new glasses, or, something's not right. I just can't see very well. And so I went to see a doctor. The first doctor that I went to see actually just told me I was losing my mind, that there was nothing wrong. And I said, no, I don't think I'm losing my mind. I think something else is going on. So I just kind of worked my way onto a specialist, a retina specialist, who was able to quickly diagnose my problem. And I was diagnosed with a disease called retinitis pigmentosa. But I have the recessive form of the gene because none of my family members have it. So that's why I wasn't diagnosed when I was younger.
Okay, so is it normally a genetic disorder, or it? And then you just
It is genetic. My parents are both carriers of the disease, but they don't have it. So they'll never have it, and my kids don't have it, but they do carry one of the genes. And so I was the one out of, there are 4 girls in my family, I was the one out of the 4 that got both of the recessive genes, so then it manifested in myself. And, I'm thankful that it was me and not my sisters, honestly. I would rather it be me if it's going to happen to anybody. So it is a progressive genetic disease that over time you lose your sight, vision. Little by little, you begin to see through the tunnel, and the tunnel just gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it goes to black. And actually, probably my first symptom of it was back when I was 16, when I got a driver's license, and I realized quickly I couldn't drive so well at night. And night blindness is usually one of the first indicators of this disease.
Really?
And,
okay. Wow. Yeah. So you said in some of the things I was reading that in a very short amount of time, then, I mean, I guess very short amount of time is relative, but you lost your career as an operating room nurse, you lost your driver's license, your ability to read, your independence, and for the most part, you said you lost your self-worth. I mean, like, devastating is an understatement. That's a lot.
It was really about 2 years. From the time I was diagnosed, it seemed to progress pretty quickly in me, that my tunnel got so small that, I lost my license, which, I willingly gave up because I'm not willing to hurt somebody else just for me to want to drive. That's not worth hurting myself, my kids, or someone else.
Right.
And it became very difficult to read, and really I think I had to give up my self-worth because I had based a lot of my identity on being a nurse, being an operating room nurse, and I couldn't get insurance to practice nursing anymore with the diagnosis, and then being declared legally blind. I couldn't get insurance to do that. So, there were a whole lot of changes had to happen in a very short amount of time. And I wasn't really equipped. There wasn't a support group. There was no one to really tell me, well, here's what you do. Life's not over. You just have to shift gears a little bit. I really had to stumble along in the dark, literally, for many years, trying to figure my way out of this. And some of that's just my can-do, I'm from Texas personality. I was born, I think with a lot of grit and a pair of boots, and we just kind of pull them on, strap in, and get her done, So I thought I've got to really figure out how to do life. My kids still had to go to school and soccer practice, and everybody expected dinner on the table, and, life went on.
Yeah. So by the time, this happened over this 2-year period where you really, had all of these losses, basically, how old were your kids then?
I guess I had a 2, a 5, and almost 8-year-old by then. So they were little.
Yeah.
And, my youngest never knew me to drive a car. He's never known me to drive. I got a driver is what I had to do. Found someone to drive my car around so I could do carpool and begin to try to do some of those normal things, go to the grocery store. I also got myself connected with the Department of Assistive and Rehabilitative Services here in Texas, which basically they teach you how to maneuver, how to read Braille, how to use a white cane, how to do all of those things.
Yeah.
And so I started, taking classes and learning, but
that must have been quite a journey, though. I remember reading in one of your blog posts that you said as your sight grew smaller, I not only had to accept my fate, but you finally had a change of heart where you realized that your sons were watching you and learning how to handle, as you say, the curveballs of life. I love that expression. I use that all the time because it's true. Life just does throw you some wild curveballs, and you're right. You've got to figure out, how to deal with it. And you decided that you needed to be a good example for them. And I love it. You said, I decided that if I was going to be blind, I might as well do it dressed to kill with a cute hairdo in high heels and being good at it. And I'll give people a reason to stare other than my cane. And I just went, wow, you are like my flippin' hero. I mean, that's amazing.
Yes. Yes. That was the point, really a big shift for me when my kids got old enough and I noticed they really were watching, because I had a lot of hard days. I had a lot of times, like anyone, where this wasn't supposed to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was married to a plastic surgeon. I had the magical life. I have 3 darling boys. I had the world by the tail. This wasn't what I had planned.
Yeah.
And when I finally accepted, okay, but this is the hand you've been dealt, then I decided to play to win. And I went to a school in Austin, a school for blind adults. And I spent 3 months there learning to read Braille more quickly, learning. I was already a computer user, but we used a computer with no monitor. How to use it with just voice commands and keystrokes, no mouse. How to navigate Austin, Texas with a blindfold on and just a cane. And I learned a lot of hard lessons at blind school. I cried every day. I cried every day. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. But I showed up to my first day of class called Orientation and Mobility, where you have your white cane and you have an instructor who's also blind, and they're going to teach you how to be totally independent with just that white cane. And first thing he did was reach down and touch my shoes, because he was also blind.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, you're going to have to go back to your room and change your shoes." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "You can't be blind in high heels."
Oh.
And I said to him, "Well, are you any good at your job?" And he said, "Well, yeah, I'm really good." I said, "Then your job's to teach me how to be blind in these shoes, because I'm not changing."
I love you.
I don't. Yeah, I don't wear
so awesome.
out unless I'm going to the gym. These are the shoes I'm wearing. Now teach me how to be blind in this. And he said, "Okay." And so we did. And that was really kind of the start of my journey, and realizing that I could do it. I could be good at it. And and be a good example for not only my children, but I know people stare. The good thing is I can't see them staring, so I don't care. You can stare if you want.
I mean, there's got to be a lot of freedom in that. In a different kind of way, not seeing people seeing you. I mean, right? Because we place so much value on how we feel we are appearing to others, and what perception we're creating in the eyes of others. And so to no longer be able to discern that seems like it'd be very freeing in its own way.
It is to me. It bothers my kids to no end. They will turn and confront people who are staring. But I just say to them, I understand they're looking and they're thinking to themselves, what would I do if that were me?
Yeah.
I know that's what they're thinking. What would I do if that were me? So I hope they see, okay, she could do it, I could do it too. And, be encouraged because, everybody has something. Everybody has something in life. Mine just happens to be blindness. And so it's a choice that I make every day to get up and put that white cane out in front. And I've discovered a whole lot of power in that cane. If you swing it big enough, people get out of your way.
That's just fantastic.
And so I just swing it pretty big, and they get out of my way. And, I intend to live life to the fullest of my ability that I can and be all that I can be and enjoy it. So
yeah. So what percentage, do you have any percentage right now of sight? And if you do, what would you say it is? Like 1% or 10%?
About 2%. When I was diagnosed, I had 40% left. So if you took a coffee stirring straw, those little brown straws, and put it up to your eye, whatever you see through that, that's what I can see. So when I look at someone's face, I can see maybe one eye at a time.
Okay. So at this point, you still have that tiny, tiny bit of visual that you can see your boys with.
I can see bits of them.
Just bits, not all at the same time.
The only way I can see all of them is in the picture. Okay. The only way I can see my own face is in the picture, and it's got to be kind of like a small picture. You know what I'm saying? But if you're standing right in front of me, I can only see a little piece of you, a little bit. And so to try to see your whole face, I would have to stand so far back, then I can't see you at all.
Right.
Acuity
and
too,
and so there's nothing that they can give you to enhance that at all. Then you just, that's what it is.
No, there is no treatment. There's no cure for this. It affects, it's the number 2 blinder of adults in America. Diabetic retinopathy is number 1. Okay. Retinitis pigmentosa is number 2.
Okay, so how long do you expect that you can retain that little tiny bit that you still have right now of sight?
Honestly, Loree, I should have lost all of it by now. And to still have 2 degrees of vision is miraculous. So I count my blessings every day that I still have that. Yeah. And there's no way to predict. The progression of the disease moves differently in everyone. Some people lose their sight, totally within a matter of years. Some keep a little bit their whole life. So there's no way to know.
Okay. So, well, it sounds like you're doing some pretty miraculous things. So maybe you're going to, set a new standard for what's possible, right? With it.
Well, it's not something that I honestly think about every day. It doesn't affect necessarily what I do or don't do. I just kind of keep going, knowing what's coming and making sure I'm well prepared for it. That I'm good in the dark, so to speak.
Yeah. So that's cute. I love it. And that one of my questions for you is going to be, how much of a role has humor played in your process of adjusting to this?
Oh, I've gotten a whole lot funnier. In fact, I was crossing the street in this summer, walking back from the beach, and I had my white cane, and this woman kind of stepped in front of me, and my cane tripped her. I didn't mean to trip her, but she cut me off, stepping in front because I didn't see her. And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you." And I said, "Oh, that's usually my line." And her husband busted out laughing, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." I said, "No, it's okay. I can be blind and funny."
Right.
You have to laugh about it. Otherwise, you just cry all the time. So may as well laugh about it. And I try to help other people feel more comfortable with my disability because I don't appear to have a disability. And I get that question a lot. People will say, "Well, gosh, you don't look blind."
Right. Because, even in your pictures, your gaze doesn't look like you're blind.
Well, I'm curious as to what a blind person is supposed to look like. I think people maybe have a preconceived idea that all blind people look like Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles or something, but I would say 99.9% of us do not look like that. We don't wear glasses. We don't bob our head back and forth. We just look regular.
I think sometimes because you're relating it, people are relating it to if they see somebody where it does seem to be obvious that they're blind, so they recognize it, and then you just assume that that's how everyone appears that is blind.
Yeah.
So I thought, like when you're modeling, so help me understand this, when you're modeling, how are you, if you're supposed to be, looking at the camera, for example, how are you learning to direct your gaze for modeling?
That's a very good question. And I did modeling when I was in college, make a little money to live in an apartment. I started doing some modeling. So this is a career I returned to since I couldn't go back to nursing, decided to go back into commercial print modeling. And it is something I have to lead with when I go in for an audition because they see me walk in with a white cane and are often, just kind of stand there looking at me. And so I just have to stick my hand out, shake their hand, and say, "I'm Catherine Harrison. Don't let this white cane bother you. I'm going to fold it up, and all I need you to do is talk to me. If you talk to me wherever the camera is, I'll look that way." I said, "I'm good at this. I do this every day," and I have to make them feel more comfortable with my disability.
Right.
I'll ask them to just show me where the mark is. Usually there's a mark on the floor that you stand so that you're the right distance from the camera. And then I just ask them for verbal cues. And most are very willing to give that. I've done auditions where I had to walk into the frame with another person. And so this other person, very accommodating, kind of put their hand at my back so that we stayed the same distance apart, and he kind of tugged on my shirt when it was time to stop. And so I found people, very accommodating, but I have to lead with it. I have to help them feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. Because people want to be able to be comfortable and have you be comfortable, but when it's something that you're so unfamiliar with, it's hard to know, what's the right way or the thoughtful way. What do I do here so that, everyone's comfortable? And so you do have to kind of be the leader and set the precedent and help people understand that it's cool. You don't have to get, too anxiety ridden over this. Let's just, figure it out and, don't worry about it. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
Yes. I don't wear my feelings on my sleeve at all. You can tell a Helen Keller joke and I'll laugh, if it's funny. I think people get to get their panties in a wad, just all bunched up and put their feelings on their sleeve about things. And you don't have to be. It makes other people uncomfortable. So I just try to, help you, help me.
Yeah,
and most of the time I don't really need much help. Most of the time I just need you to get out of my way and don't try to help me. This one man was holding the door open to the bank, and I was clearly trying to find the handle, not realizing he was holding it open.
Oh.
And he didn't say anything. He just stood there holding it open. And finally, I realized I could feel the air conditioning, that he had it open. And so I was like, oh, thank you, He thought he was helping, but...
Right. But he was kind of messing with your system. He was trying to be helpful, but he was actually messing with your system. Yeah. Yeah. It's like when people are, it's like when you're trying to merge on the highway and you're trying to gauge your entrance by by the speed that everybody's going. But then there's that one person that thinks they're going to be extra nice and they try to slow way down to let you in, and all they do is create, havoc all around them because they're messing with the system. just do what you're supposed to do so that I can do what I'm supposed to do.
Yes, just do your thing. Well, I found it interesting that you found me on Instagram, because that was something I had been learning to do, was Instagram, and my business coach was the one that had encouraged me to, kind of come out and, go ahead and say that I was visually handicapped. Because when I first was on Instagram, I hadn't done that. In fact, I had not even told my agent that I was blind. And so I had to have that conversation with both my agent and then, kind of come out on Instagram, with it, because I knew it was going to, affect some things. And I'm sure there are jobs I have not been given or not been asked to audition for because of it. And that's okay. Yeah. That's just reality. The right thing comes along when it's my turn, and so I just patiently keep doing my thing and making sure I'm good at it. I have been to several different workshops. I've had private coaching and tutoring on doing just what you asked about, how to find the camera, how to move freely, because modeling is a whole lot about movement that's natural and normal, and that's a little harder to do when you don't know where your space is. I don't know where the wall is or a light or things like that. So I've had to have some coaching on it and get more comfortable with how to do that. So that's my job, is to be the best that I can be, and so I work hard at it.
Have your other senses become heightened as your eyesight has diminished?
I get that question a lot. I think we really just learn to depend on them. Like when I cook, I rarely look at a bottle of spice. I take the lid off and I smell it. Yeah. Because I have put cinnamon where I should have used cumin, because they look the same.
Right.
But if you smell it, it's not the same. And so it becomes a training of your brain to learn not to believe what you see. When I cross the street, I listen both ways. I don't look. I don't even turn my head, because it doesn't matter. Right. Even if I did look, there could be a car there, and I would never see it. So I just use my ears, and I just listen. So I use my other senses, I think, more than other people. I depend on them, touching things. I used to love to sew, quilting and things like that. I did it even, up until a few years ago. So I'd go to the fabric store, and I could just walk down the aisle and stick my hand out and touch the fabric until I found the fabric I wanted. I know the difference between polyester, silk, and cotton, just touching it. I didn't have to read the label. So it's just using those other senses, I think, more.
Sure. So how is your cooking nowadays? Have you improved since you smell?
I'm a pretty good cook, actually. Yes, I do. I cook a lot. I love to cook, and I don't necessarily use recipes. I've been doing it so long, and and things are always in the same place in my house. Sure. My kids learned early on, you don't leave toys on the floor. You don't leave things sitting out. Everything has to stay in its place. So then I know where it is. So I know right where my spices are and where the pots are. Everything's always in the same place. Yeah. Some of that's just survival. Yeah.
Sure, right? Yeah, I was, that's one of the things I was wondering is since they were so young when, this happened, were they, once they kind of got used to the idea, did they, were they trying to get away with things like, oh, mom won't see if I made my bed? I mean, were they trying to get away with, not doing their chores or things that they thought maybe you wouldn't pick up on? Or were they pretty good?
No, they're pretty good. They know they don't get away with much. I hear everything. In fact, my oldest wanted to learn to read Braille, so I taught him the basic alphabet in Braille. And if they ever left things on the floor, I would make them wear a blindfold. I would put the blindfold on them, and I would say, "You want to do that? You get to walk a mile in my shoes, and then you won't do that anymore." So no, they were very accommodating, and they really haven't known me any different. So to them and to their friends, this is pretty normal, which I'm grateful for. That it doesn't bother them to see people with handicaps, if they're deaf or blind in a wheelchair, whatever. They don't flinch. It doesn't bother them.
Right. So, how old are they now?
It's good. 30, 27, and 24.
Okay. So are they all out on their own then? Is anybody still at home?
No, they are all out on their own, which is really kind of what prompted this second half of my life, my my going rogue story, as you call it, where I decided, okay, they're grown and gone, doing their thing, and now I want to get to have my turn. I'm 50 plus, and finally have gotten back into the best shape of my life, actually.
Well, I'll say,
I weigh about what I did in high school. So
yeah. I mean, seriously, you do look like a fitness competitor. I mean, I've seen some of your things and your photos and your videos from at the gym, and I'm like, holy buckets, I got to up my game. I thought I was doing pretty good, but she's like making me feel like I need to up my game, Catherine. Thank you very much for the inspiration.
Well, I have a really great trainer who I've worked with for about 10 years. And so he knows my limitations, but actually he doesn't there's nothing I do differently that the girls in my group don't do. If we're jumping up onto big boxes, he makes me do that too. But he'll just stand on the other side of it, because once I jump, I'm just jumping into nothing. I can't see where I'm about to land. And so he'll stand on the other side just so I don't, jump all the way off of it or whatever for safety. But he doesn't cut me any slack. He expects me to do what everybody else is doing. And he has a chart he's given me for what I eat, what's best for me to eat to maintain my weight. And that's when I decided to go back into modeling and got an agent and started back at the game. And I think my husband and my siblings, my friends, all kind of for a minute there thought I had lost my mind. They, weren't sure what was going on, why all of a sudden, did I want to do this? And I said, because it's my turn. I've done my job with my boys and raising them. They're independent and doing their thing. Now it's my turn. And it was hard not to be a little bit angry right at first that, I finally get my turn and now I have to do it blind. And it was hard not to be a little angry. But, I got over that and just decided, well, let's just do it. So that is what I work hard at every day. And my family's come around. They see, once I start on something, I don't quit. I don't give up. I just keep going until I have achieved my goal. And so it's been really fun to have this dream at my age with this disability and still get to do it. And not only get to do it, but to encourage other people. That's what I have found so much fun about Instagram, oddly enough, is the people that I get to just encourage and tell my story and say, they want to give excuses. If you have enough excuses, you're going to get to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can do it, anybody can do it. You can have your dreams. You can be what it is you want to be. You just have to make those sacrifices and work hard and then do it, whatever it is. So that has really made this even more fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's a quite an element of of fearlessness in there and courage. To be able to step out and and make yourself really putting yourself in a I guess a vulnerable position. You like you said, you've got this disability and you've decided I'm going to go out and I'm going to be a professional model again. And your family must have been looking at you like, you could probably feel their curious stares, right? Seriously?
Yeah.
That's a heck of a going rogue story, but it would have taken a lot of courage and chutzpah to say, no, I'm going to do this. And I think you're right. I mean, people can come up with all kinds of excuses and reasons not to pursue the things that are calling to them. And that's why, stories like yours, I love to share this kind of a going rogue story because it demonstrates to other people what's possible when you are telling yourself something's not possible. And you really, we just buy way too much of our own bullshit, I think sometimes, or oftentimes. And so when someone like you, has this crazy thing drop in their lap and all of a sudden, okay, great. I'm a mother. I'm a young mother of 3 young boys and now I'm going to be blind. How's this going to work? And here you are, X amount of years later, you've raised your sons. They're out on their own. And now you're jumping into this wonderful career, amongst all of the other amazing things that you're doing. And you're giving back, and you're just demonstrating so much. It's very inspiring, and I think that stories like this are very helpful to people to let them know that things that they once thought maybe weren't possible, they really are. Because there are people like you and so many others doing things that, maybe once before they thought, oh, that could never happen. And it certainly can't happen to me.
Well, I think you have to remember my philosophy is I'm not the enemy, I'm not the victim, I'm not even the hero. I'm the author of my dreams. I get to write them. I get to write the ending. And so that empowered me to write a good story.
Yes.
To have the story I want it to be, regardless of what those around me thought I could do. And I am a relatively fearless person. I love adventure. I love to, rappel and rock climb and, do all kind of fun things like that. And at this point in my life, really, what do I have to lose? I mean, what can go wrong? What, am I going to go blind? Oh, wait, I'm already there. Yeah, what can you do to me? Seriously? So I just don't have anything to lose at this point.
Yeah,
I'm stepping out there.
That's in your high heels, right?
In my high heel, always, every day.
I love the high heels because I'm a shoe freak too, and high heels definitely. And I saw one of your videos on your Facebook page, I think it was, where you were walking in a beautiful dress and your high heels, and I was like, look at her! You look like you could be on a runway. It was just quite impressive, I must say. And that is a great going rogue story, by the way. Thank you for sharing that with us. Can I ask you what, if anything, what would you say has been your greatest gain since the loss of your sight, and what do you miss the most?
The greatest gain, I would say, that I've had is my ability to listen to people. I probably wasn't a very good listener before. I depended a lot on what I saw to either judge the world around me, make decisions, things like that. And I think we miss a lot when we just judge the world by what we see, and we're not listening to one another. You hear someone's heart when you listen to them and ask for their story. And so it has helped make me I wouldn't necessarily say more compassionate, but certainly more understanding person, and willing to sit and listen to your story so I can get to know you and know your heart, rather than just look at what's on the outside and make my judgment call.
Yeah.
And that has been a really great thing. The thing I think I miss the most probably has to do, with my boys, and being able to see all of them, walk across the stage at graduation, or, one's about to get married. I'll miss the full picture of seeing all of that happen, because I can only see a tiny little bit of it. But, that's the only thing. I don't miss driving. I don't miss reading. I'm an avid reader. I listen to books. I'm voracious about listening to books.
Yeah.
And, so all those other things you can accommodate for, but, seeing them live their life is probably what I miss the most.
Sure. Yeah, that would be hard. That would be hard. So I found some super cute quotes about Texas women. And I was like, you know what? This would be really fun if I just rattle off a couple and you can give me like true or false. Do you want to play?
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll play.
Okay. I just grabbed like 3 of them that I thought were cute. And so I figured, let's try this. I've never done this before. All right. The first one, true or false? Country / Texas, girls are sweeter than sweet tea, stronger than whiskey, and tougher than nails. True or false?
I would say that's probably true.
Okay. Number 2.
Yeah.
In the South, honey can be a term of endearment or a dire warning.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yes,
and
true.
If anybody ever uses the term scooter with you, yeah, you've done something really stupid.
Okay. Good to know.
But honey ranks up there, too. It can be something sweet, or it can mean something derogatory is about to come out of their mouth.
Okay. Yes. All right. Good to remember. All right. The third one, true or false? If you hear a Texas woman say, "Oh, hell no," it's already too late.
Oh, that's probably true also. It's
fun.
Most of the Texas women I know, carry guns, so including myself, which frightens my husband, but I'm a pretty good shot, oddly enough. You just have to make a little noise.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's awesome.
So,
that was just kind of a fun little thing I wanted to throw in there.
That is fun. Yes.
So, Catherine, what advice would you give others who find themselves, in this same or similar situation, that's going to require them to have to learn to move through life and the world really in a completely new way?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing you have to do is give yourself about 5 minutes to feel sorry for yourself. And you have to grieve about it. And I think sometimes we want to skip that step. I did, because it doesn't feel very good. I wanted to just skip over to the victory part of it. But you have to go through that. You have to mourn a little bit the loss of what you thought life was going to be. But only give yourself about 5 minutes to do it.
Okay.
And then get on. Maybe more than 5 minutes, maybe 5 days. But don't stay there.
Yeah.
You need to go there, but don't stay.
Yeah. So the point is allow yourself to do it, but don't wallow in it endlessly.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And put a time limit on it. I'm gonna feel sad about this for 5 days, and then I'm going to move on. And then you begin to arm yourself with resources, with people. This was when I was diagnosed back before, the internet and all of that. I couldn't just reach out on Instagram to someone. I have people almost every day reach out to me who have been diagnosed with the same disease and say, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I do this very thing. I kind of talk them off the cliff. And I didn't have that. But you can find a lot of resources to learn to navigate whatever situation you find yourself in. And just decide. You have to make a decision every single day to get up and conquer this. Today I'm going to do one more thing that moves me forward. I'm going to learn how to use my cane. I'm going to learn how to read Braille. I'm going to, whatever it is. Yeah. So your resolve really has to come in there. And have a support team. Have people around you who believe in you, who believe that you can do it, and that encourage you to do it. You're going to fall. You're going to make mistakes. I fall down all the time. I say, yeah, but I look good when I get up. Right. I know how to rise because I know how to fall. Everybody does. But you get up, you put that cane back out, and you just keep on going. And
that's great advice.
Just know that's everybody. That happens to everybody. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome advice, especially the part where you do give yourself that time, allow yourself to mourn the loss for just a limited amount of time. So you're not going to live there, and then get on with it. Get up and get on with it. I like that a lot. And then the obvious things, get yourself a support group, and it's got to be hard, but look at what you've been able to accomplish. And I just think that, you're showing people it can be done. It really can. And it can be done in high style too. You don't have to wear sensible shoes if you don't want to.
You don't have to be blind in sensible shoes. That's going to be the title of the book. I mean, my agent books me out for all kinds of things. She doesn't flinch. She knows she'll put me out there for anything. She sees I'm not afraid, so she's not afraid.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what other people will respond, how you respond to it.
Yes. So. Yeah, you got to set the tone.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
So where can people find you, Catherine? If you want to share your website or social media sites so that people can check out more about you.
Okay. Instagram is probably the best place at this point, and my handle is at Catherine Harrison _model, and that's Catherine with a C.
Perfect. And I'll have that in the notes on the show, too, so people can see it.
Perfect. I'd love for them to join me on Instagram and give me some feedback. Yeah.
Everyone, make sure that you do check it out. It's very inspiring. Catherine is beautiful, and you will, I think, be greatly inspired by checking out what she's up to. So, last question: what's the value of going rogue that you would like to share?
It's fulfilling your dream. It's who wants to die saying, gosh, I wish I woulda. That's not going to be me. I don't want to die in my pajamas. I want to live this second half of my life fulfilling my dream and being creative. Everybody has a creative side, and that's kind of what I think the going rogue for people really is, when you allow that creativity to come out in you and you find your strength. You find strength you never knew you had. You find that you can do things I never knew I could do these things. Get on a plane by myself, go to New York, audition, all, by myself. And it's empowering. And it makes you feel like, heck yeah, I can do this and be good at it. So it'll empower you to go rogue and fulfill those dreams. Don't let them go unanswered.
I love
You'll be
that.
miserable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's just beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Catherine. This has been just awesome. I have so enjoyed having this chat with you, and I'm very grateful that you took the time to come on and share your story. I just think it's a wonderful, beautiful, inspiring, amazing story. So I'm very appreciative.
Thank you so much, Loree, for having me. It's been a delight to meet you.
And you as well. And when I come through Texas, I'm going to ring you up.
Absolutely. That'd be fun.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. You have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Bye.
So there you have it, folks. A model citizen who refused to become diminished in any way by the loss of her sight. Catherine Harrison not only contributes in numerous ways beyond herself, but is also on a mission to empower women of all ages to step into their strength, regardless of their circumstances, with poise and courage. I think she's already crushing these missions and way more. I think she's right up there at the top of one of my favorite interviews so far, and I've got a lot of good ones, but I just find her story to be fantastic. What a great lady. So, my friends, thank you for spending some time hanging out with us today. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and show me some love by giving me some of those pretty rating stars. If you like all of this deliciousness that we serve up here on We're Talking Shift, spread the good shift around by sharing the link with your friends. I mean, after all, the more good shifters, the merrier. So, if you're trying to make some shift happen in your own life, don't forget you can find out what private coaching with me is all about on LoreeBischoff.com. I've been helping people make shift happen in their lives for over 11 years. On my website, you'll also find my books, Common Sense Happiness and The Food Print Plan, which is your blueprint for creating a healthy eating lifestyle. I would love to connect with you on any of the social media platforms, so don't be shy. Stop by and say hi. Until next week, stay feisty, my friends, and go make some epic shift happen. You too, Gary V.
The preceding podcast was a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be directed to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.